This is TWiT.
Joining us to talk about the Zuckerberg deepfake that hit Instagram just days ago is Samantha Cole from Motherboard Advice. Welcome, Samantha.
Hi, Jason. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. Thank you for joining us. So perhaps it actually makes more sense to begin with the Nancy Pelosi video that hit a few weeks back, which isn't necessarily a deep fake, but it's kind of along the same vein, right? Her audio was artificially slowed. It made her sound drunk. That was ultimately posted to Facebook. What was the call that was made around whether that video in particular stayed up or was taken down, and how that relates to the Zuckerberg video?
Sure, yeah. So the Nancy Pelosi video was really interesting because it definitely wasn't a deepfake. There was no high-tech algorithmic editing happening there. It was just slowed down to make her sound drunk, like you said. So that one got millions of views. It was shared thousands of times. It spread really quickly. And basically, Facebook chose to keep it up. They said that they were going to deprioritize it, which basically means they're going to push it down through people's feeds so that it doesn't pop up on your feed organically so much. And it would put it alongside third-party fact-checker information. The Facebook VP for products, I believe, said that the company thinks it's important for people to make their own choices for what to believe and to give them all the information that they need to make those decisions and decide for themselves. So the video is still up. It just got some disclaimers on it now.
Yeah, right. And then now, of course, we have the leader of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, pronouncing some, let's say, sinister things in a faked video post on Instagram. This one definitely falls in line of what a deep fake actually is. Talk a little bit about how this video came to be.
Sure, yeah. So that one was part of an art project, actually, out of the UK. The art project looks at how companies use our data and data privacy, basically. So an artist partnered with researchers and people who actually make deepfakes, a company called Canny, and they made the videos using a proprietary algorithm that is essentially a deepfake, the way that they explained it to me. But it's trained on 21 seconds, I believe, of a video of Mark from 2017 where he's giving that address about Russian election meddling. And it's smashed up with basically someone puppeting his face to make it look like he's saying something that he never did. He's saying that he's got control of, all of these people's stolen data. So that's the basics on how that came to be. It only took 21 seconds of an original video to create this deepfake of Mark Zuckerberg, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, very.
And so where does it stand now? Is it still up on Instagram? Did Facebook take it down? What's the situation with this video now?
So Instagram told us that they were going to do the same stance with this as they did with the Pelosi video and as they plan to do with all misinformation going forward on the platforms. Basically, they have a third-party fact-checker system that will mark it as false if it finds that it is false, and then filter it through people's feeds so that it doesn't pop up so much, basically deprioritizing it. So, it's still up. This is their stance on misinformation now, so that's what they have to stick to.
That's kind of the roadmap going forward. So regarding the Zuckerberg video, it's super obvious to me, and I imagine a lot of people, that the voice is not his, right? It's disconcerting when you watch it because it's like, ew, there's some qualities, but it's obviously someone doing an impersonation. And also that, you can spot the digital kind of artifacting around the mouth a little bit. Things seem smeary at times. But would you say like a deep fake of this caliber is enough to fool or trick a lot of people? And could that mean that the damage would already be done anyways, even if it's pretty obvious to some that this is totally fake?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you're definitely right that it doesn't look completely real if you're watching for those things. But if you think about the way that people consume media, it's on a phone, the images are small, grainy. A lot of the times the quality is not good. So if you have those artifacts in a video and you can't really tell, like, how good of a quality is this video of someone, The voice is definitely not him, obviously. I think it sounds like Bill Nye a little bit. It's extremely ridiculous. But, they had a voice actor kind of mimic the way that Zuckerberg speaks so that they could then use that to make the end result of the video better, and they can match it to a video of that speaker. I think just to kind of go back to your question, I think it would trick a lot of people if it was out of context from, us saying this is not real, this is a deep fake. If it just came up on your feed organically, it might raise some flags because Zuckerberg wouldn't say something like, I'm in control of stolen data. That would be a tip-off. But I think just taking it as a video in itself, it is really easy for these things to spread really fast. And then once the fact-checking and the verification goes through, that takes, minutes to days, maybe. And that's, the damage is already done. Like, it's already spread. People believe what they believe. It's out of your control at that point. So, I think it's totally possible.
And there's already a bias built in, right? Like, we believe what we want to believe. I mean, it's happened to me a lot of times. Like, I'll see something on Twitter that, is not conservative. It's very liberal. And I'll think, oh, yeah, of course. I believe that right away because it's kind of what I want to believe. And then you find out that it's false.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's what we saw with the Pelosi video. If you want to believe, if you don't like Nancy Pelosi and you see a video of her slurring her speech or, acting drunk on stage, you might hit the share button immediately and say, this is hilarious, everybody look. I think that these things confirm our biases once we see them, and that's where the real danger is with deepfakes.
And now we're starting to see some movement in the U.S. government, at least, around the potential of deepfakes and potentially the damage. Of course, everybody, what we keep hearing is deepfakes are going to come along and they're going to make the 2020 election a lot more challenging, or so our awareness is raising a little bit around this. And there's the deepfake bill that's going through right now. What can you tell us about that? Are you aware of the deepfake bill? Do you think it's adequate? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that bill was introduced, I believe, this week. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it basically would force creators of deepfakes to watermark their creations, disclose that it's fake or manipulated in some way, and put a watermark on the video that would tip off researchers or forensics analysts to this being fake. So I think that's a really good start. Having these conversations is a good start. Having the conversation we're having now is productive. I think any time we can talk about media literacy and societal implications of things being marked as fake when they're actually true and what is truth is all productive conversation. Mm-hmm. So, I think that bill will be really interesting to see the repercussions of that, the support behind that. But I'm not sure beyond that. We'll just have to see.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'm always a little bit reticent to say, like, regulation is the answer, because I'm afraid that the people making the regulation don't know as much about the technology as they need to. I mean, I know that this is part of the Section 230 of the Communication Decency Act is what I think that they're trying to change. Do you worry at all that regulation might go too far?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a concern that quite a few people have raised who are much more well-studied on this than I am. But just in my own experience and listening to them, I think that would put a lot of power in the government's hands to decide what's true and what's not. And that's definitely scary to me. And I think it should be concerning to anyone who cares about this stuff. But yeah, it's definitely not the answer to legislate a lot of this. I would rather see legislation around, like I said, like media literacy or ownership of bodily autonomy, or this all started from videos of women in porn that were used against their consent. I'd love to see laws around revenge porn before I saw a law around putting watermarks on manipulated video. It's definitely not the only answer, but it's a start.
Yeah, and not only that, like when I hear from the bill, we require you to put a watermark on your thing that you're putting out there to try and trick people or whatever the case may be. I mean, obviously there the onus would fall on the people making the tools. So Adobe, for example, has, hooks in their software that enable this, and they're working on that more. I could see obviously a company like Adobe being like, okay, great, we'll build a watermark in here so that it's easily identified. But there are a lot of people out there who have no interest in making their fake video easily identifiable to anyone. That's the point. So who knows how successful that'll be. But overall, this is a really fascinating kind of development that's happening in the world of technology, and really appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk to us about it. Samantha Cole is with Vice, vice.com. Where can people follow you online if they want to follow your work?
I'm on Twitter at Sam Lee Cole, or check out Motherboard on Vice.
Right on. Thank you again, Samantha.